My name's Dave Ford, and this is my dog, Logan, out once again on a walk in the New Forest. Today we're going to be doing a circular route, starting and finishing at the Shatterford Forestry Commission car park. Now, it's located next to the Beaulieu Road railway station, which is about halfway between Beaulieu and Lyndhurst in Hampshire. Now, during our walk today we'll be going to Matley Wood. We'll be looking at the site of an old World War I Trench Mortar School, an old war dog training school, believe it or not, the impressive Pale Park Earth Embankment, and we might see the odd surprise along the way. So, Logan, are you ready? He's ready. Let's go. Well, we're making our way across from the Shatterford car park, where we left the car obviously, heading towards Blackdown across some heathland. Now, as you can probably see, it's a little murky today. It is warm, and at the moment there's no wind or rain, but foggy. So who knows what we'll see, if anything, today. It'll be a bit atmospheric. Well, one thing about today, I'll just point the camera around, seeing loads of cobweb on the gorse. These spiders have certainly been busy. Look at that. And it's just absolutely loads of it everywhere. So as I say, we're going to follow this route. We're parallel to the railway line that's just beyond those trees behind the embankment, and that's the railway line that goes from Beaulieu up to Ashurst. And I do have a little light on my camera, so when we do eventually go into the woods, hopefully we'll be able to see something. Just had a lovely stroll across a very open area. It's almost as if it's pasture land rather than heathland, quite flat, and I imagine quite popular with some of the livestock. And the mist is beginning to disappear. So if I turn the camera now round, we're now going to head through a gap in this bit of woodland, and it's called King's Passage, and tradition has it that this is where King Charles II in the 17th century, I think, he crossed the stream here whilst hunting. And so we've just gone over one little bridge. The stream, I think, goes to the Beaulieu River. That's a little bit damp underfoot, Logan, so although I'm going to be alright, you're going to get your feet wet. Now, as we come through here, although there's some holly, there's also a number of older trees. And of course, they're usually found near streams. In fact, King's Passage is actually an older car, and a car is basically waterlogged wooden terrain populated by older trees. Because the thing about older trees, they resist decay and damp conditions, so they're very good material for making water pipes and wooden pumps. And I believe that they've been used as foundation piles under bridges and houses in the 1940s in Southampton. But, oh, it is muddy. We have had a lot of rain in the area over the last few days. I've got a nice little area to come out onto now, and we're now going to head for Matley Wood, which I believe is in this direction. Was that the sun beginning to come out? Hope so. We've now crossed over and we're now in the most northerly part of our route. We're just about to go into Matley Wood, but before I do, just want to show you this little rather insignificant looking track that we've come down, but it's actually a centuries old route. It's known as Cut Walk, and it's an old road that links Lyndhurst and Marchwood. So Lyndhurst is a sort of administrative centre of well, that noise by the way was a train and not me. Lyndhurst was or is the administrative centre for the New Forest, and over at Marchwood is where the master keeper of the East Bailiwick used to live. Just to explain that originally the New Forest was made up of 10 administrative areas known as bailiwicks. Okay, so we just give you one final pan of this area before we start heading off into the wood here, which is a very ancient wood. In fact, just as we do, I've just spotted something on my right which might be worth investigating. Well, this is certainly a little place for fungi. I'm just keeping my eyes peeled through this little bit of wood. Oh yeah, they're absolutely all over the place. There's one hidden there. What else have we got? Perfect conditions for them. A little bit of dampness. Oh, that one there. Look. I'm guessing most of these will be poisonous. See if I can find some more. Little baby one there. And another one. And we'll finish off with these little ones here. Isn't that lovely? Well folks, I really am loving this. This is a really ancient little bit of woodland that I'm going through now, and how about that? What a lovely old oak that is. And it's been clearly pollarded. When I say pollarded, at some stage it would have been cut back about a metre and a half above the ground, and then all those new branches would have grown out. So pollarding certainly extends the life of these trees. But there was an Act of Parliament in the late 1600s that actually made pollarding illegal. The government weren't happy about it. They wanted to keep trees with just oak trees and beech trees just with the one trunk, so that it would be strong for building of ships. So that does help us insofar as it helps us date these trees. So that chap, are trees male? Well, whatever. It's going to be 350 years old at least. But oh, it's absolutely beautiful in here. Little blackbird over there, very peaceful. And I say, some of these trees will go back centuries. We've just come out of Matley Wood and I've made a little bit of a diversion because there's something I want to show you on the western side of the woods. Just turn round to show you, because this particular area has got a lot of history attached to it. In 1917 a trench mortar school was established here, and it covered something like 230 acres, and it was used to practice for attacking trenches using grenades, or Mills bombs as they were known then. And I say, in those days grenades and short range artillery weapons were quite a new thing, so they needed a lot of practice. So a lot of trenches were dug out here. It was all closed 1918 obviously, and most of the trenches were filled in, but if you look very carefully there is still a little bit of evidence. And in fact, I don't know if you can see, well, you can see where the standing water is. That's the bottom of a trench, and there's banking either side. All nice and peaceful now, I'm pleased to report. We've just crossed over the road, I think it's the B3056 from memory, and right by some woods on Matley Ridge. And this little area has got a bit of history as well that goes back to the First World War, because in 1918 in this exact location there was a war dog training school, believe it or not. There was something like 200 dogs kennelled here, and this is where dogs were trained to carry messages between the trenches and also to do sentry duty and guard duty. I know which duty I'd prefer to do out of those options. But it closed in 1919, and then the whole thing moved to Salisbury Plain. So there's no real evidence here of where everything was located. It's sobering thought to think that during the war something like 7,000 dogs lost their lives. Having said there's no evidence of the World War I war dog training school, there is something here which I've come across, although to me this looks a bit more like something from the Second World War. As you can see, I'm not 100% sure exactly what this is. As you can see, it's circular, about a metre across, and there's some sort of metal surround. I'm guessing that this may well have just been some sort of base for a searchlight. I say it's just a guess. Okay, so we're just now going to carry on. We're on the northwestern side of our walk now, and we're going to follow the side of this wood for a bit. Wow, look at this. Now, I nearly didn't spot this because I thought it was part of the tree, but no, it's definitely quite hard. Can you see underneath it? Wow. Well, there you go. I wonder how long it's been growing there. Well, this really has been a lovely walk. The weather's been a bit strange today. We're filming mid-October and the mist has virtually gone, and it's actually quite warm. Certainly I think Logan didn't need his coat, and I certainly didn't need this jacket, so apologies if I look a bit warm. Now we're just coming through a gap. If I just turn this round, this is a gap in something known as Park Pale, a massive, well, when it was created, it was a massive earthen bank, 9 meters wide and about 1.2 meters tall, and there was a ditch which you can just about make out still on one side, and there would have been a fence on top of it, and it was basically a deer park enclosure, so that you know, to keep deer, so that it would be readily accessible meat during the winter. But it fell into disuse in the 1400s, but the outline is very much still here. Okay, well, let's carry on. We've now got a downhill stretch. One thing I ought to say, I mean, now this must be my 11th or 12th video in the New Forest, and I talk about deer from time to time, but I've not really gone into any great detail. So I'll tell you what, I'll pan round, and as we wander down here I can tell you a little bit more about deer in the New Forest. And I'm not looking at my notes, I promise. No, there are probably about 5 different types of deer that you're likely to come across. The 2 native species in the UK are red deer and roe deer. The red deer, they tend to be the one with the very large antlers. There's roughly about 100 of those in the New Forest. Roe deer, they will have smaller antlers, and there's about 350 of those in the forest. The most popular ones that you're likely to see are fallow deer. Those were introduced by the Normans, and they have very much broad, flat antlers. And there's about 1,200 of those in the forest. And then finally, the slightly rarer types, you might come across seeker deer. They're quite small. They were introduced from Asia. There's about 100 of those in the forest. And then finally, very rare, muntjac. They're very small. I can't remember the last time I saw one of those. They are solitary. So there's roughly, I know, something like 2,000 deer in total on the forest, and they like to keep, or the authorities like to keep them to that sort of number. So there will be a cull to ensure those sort of numbers are kept the same. Well folks, we've come to the end of our walk. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe, and hopefully you'll be able to join us for another walk in the New Forest sometime in the future. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and cheerio. You seen a squirrel? Where? He's seen a squirrel.